Welcome to episode 38 of Uncaged Sports Talk. Today is the NFL Draft. I've been looking forward to this episode for a bit. I had a guest plan to come on, but stuff came up. It got busy. Just going to be me doing this episode. I'm going to do a solo mock draft, which I'm fine with. Lets me give my point of view. Just truly my point of view, what I think is going to happen in the draft. I'm excited for this draft. I'll tell you guys the guys I'm highest on. Actually, before I get to that, you can look at the bottom. That's my big board for this draft. My top 50 players in this draft in order. There's some players that could get added after I watch some more players between now and Friday, but heading into round one, this is my big board heading into round one. The players I'm really high on, he's actually, if you're watching on YouTube, he's actually going across the bottom right now. One of them is Ladd McConkey from Georgia. His route running is just nasty. Nasty route running from Ladd McConkey at a Georgia wide receiver. And then D tackle from Illinois, Johnny Newton. They call him Johnny Newton. Sorry if I sound a little clogged up. But yeah, Jazon Newton, he's my favorite defensive lineman in this draft. It reminds me of Fletcher Cox when I first watched a few clips of him. His scouting report's eerily similar to Fletcher Cox as well. I'm not saying he's going to be Fletcher Cox, but I'm high on him as well. He's a prospect that I'm intrigued by heading into Thursday night. Like, if he's there for the Eagles, I'd be like, go get him. I'd be all over him. Pause. But yeah. Without further ado, though, we're going to get into the NFL draft. Going to do a mock draft. There will be no trades in this mock draft. Just going straight stick and pick because it's too hard to predict trades. Because there's like an average of 8 trades per draft. But without further ado, here we go. The first pick, I don't think this needs any introduction, needs any preface or anything. The first pick, the Chicago Bears select Caleb Williams, quarterback, USC. I don't think this one needs much to go over. The Washington Commanders are going to take quarterback from LSU, Jaden Daniels. They've been tied to him throughout the entire draft process. It's been Caleb and Jaden throughout the entire draft process. There has been murmurs of JJ maybe jumping up to this spot, but the Patriots stick and take Drake May. The Cardinals. Now, this, if I was doing a trade, would be a spot that I think the Vikings would trade up to. I could see the Vikings trading up to here and taking JJ McCarthy, but I do not think that's going to happen. Or I'm not doing any trades. So if you look at this, you can see what Cardinals fans are selecting. You can see what people are selecting for the Cardinals. So you get an idea of what their board is usually like players that the Cardinals might be interested in or rumored to get. I've been looking at that with a lot of mock drafts just to get a feel. With the 4th pick in the NFL draft, the Arizona Cardinals select wide receiver, Ohio State, Marvin Harrison. The Chargers are now on the clock. The first pick of the Jim Harbaugh era. Marvin Harrison's off the board. This could be a Marvin Harrison spot if JJ goes to the Vikings at 4, which is rumored. Could be a Joe Alt spot. They need some O-line. I saw JC Latham projected to go to the Chargers. He's an O-lineman from Alabama. Rome Odunze, you got Brock Bowers. But with this pick, if there's no trades at all going on, the Los Angeles Chargers select wide receiver, LSU, Malik Neighbors. With the 6th pick in the NFL draft, this is a tricky spot. Drake May is gone. Neighbors is gone. Marvin Harrison's gone. Joe Alt's still there. I think this pick would be between Rome Odunze and JJ McCarthy. I would not put Joe Alt into the conversation. I think them wanting a QB is just a smokescreen to get like a Neighbors or Marvin Harrison to drop to them, so the Vikings try to jump them. There's been rumors within the last few days of them wanting potentially JJ McCarthy or Michael Penix. That could be to get the Raiders or Vikings to jump them. So at this spot, at number 6, the New York Giants stick and pick with Rome Odunze. They pass on JJ McCarthy. This has been mocked like throughout the entire process. The Tennessee Titans select tackle Joe Alt from Notre Dame. With the 8th pick in the NFL draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Dallas Turner. I think Dallas Turner is a pick here for the Falcons. They need some edge rush help. They need some defensive help on that edge. Get a pass rush going there in Atlanta. I get Dallas Turner is the best edge rusher in this draft. Give me Dallas Turner at Atlanta. Now this is a tricky spot. If JJ goes, I think they're taking Rome Odunze. I think Rome Odunze would be the guy here. But since JJ is no longer on the board, since since Rome Odunze is no longer on the board, the options here for the Bears are Laitai Latu, Byron Murphy. I'm a big fan of Byron Murphy. Joe Alt or Jazan Newton. You can keep Joe Alt in the area. You can keep Jazan Newton in Illinois. Byron Murphy is from Texas. Maybe I actually have that wrong. I'm gonna double check real quick. Yeah, Texas. I was wondering if it was Texas or Clemson, but at this pick, I think the Chargers go get. I think not the Chargers. I think the Bears go get their pass rusher. I think they go get Laitai Latu. Without injuries, he'd be probably a top 10 pick for sure. This is a questionable spot, but I think they go Laitai Latu here. The Chicago Bears take Laitai Latu with the 10th pick in the NFL draft. There's a few options for the Jets. Brock Bowers, Talise Fuagu out of Oregon State, the Samoan Bulldozer, I'll call him, stealing that name from Umaga. Fuaga's name is very similar to Umaga. People who watched wrestling growing up know who Umaga is. Umaga, the Samoan Bulldozers. Troy Fautanu, I'm a big fan of his. He's one of my favorite O-line prospects in this draft. Fuaga's a mauler. The Jets could use him there in New York. New York fans would love him. Fashanu, he's one of my favorite O-line prospects in this draft. And Joe Alt is off the board. Rome Odunze's off the board as well. At this spot, they could either go tackle or Brock Bowers. I think the Jets go Brock Bowers. I'm not a big fan of taking a tight end high, but I think the Jets go Brock Bowers here, get more help for A-Rod. Now, this pick to me doesn't really need any questions. With the 11th pick in the NFL draft, the Minnesota Vikings select quarterback JJ McCarthy from Michigan. Now, this is an interesting spot. I think Latu is a good pick for them. I think Quinyon Mitchell, a trade-up scenario. Eagles are rumored to potentially trade up to here. Michael Penix, JJ McCarthy is off the board. So Quinyon Mitchell, Michael Penix, Bo Nix. I think that they'd go Bo Nix in this scenario. I'm a bigger fan of Michael Penix. I would take Michael Penix if I were them, if I'm deciding between them and Quinyon Mitchell. But I think they'd go Bo Nix. They've been more heavily tied to Bo Nix. So with the 12th pick in the NFL draft, the Denver Broncos select Bo Nix, quarterback, Oregon. Now, this is an interesting spot. Michael Penix has become a big rumor name for the Raiders within the last few days. Quinyon Mitchell, one of the best corners in this draft. Terrion Arnold is available. Troy Fautanu, Cooper DeJean. I think this is between Fuaga, and Michael Penix. You could see a trade up later in the later rounds. But the Raiders need a QB. They need a QB bad. If you asked me earlier, I would have said they go Fuaga. Fuaga just seems like a Raider. But Michael Penix also seems like a Raider. He flashy. Michael Penix, the Heisman Trophy. No, I believe he didn't win the Heisman Trophy. He got screwed out of it. He should have. But Michael Penix is going to be in Las Vegas Raider. Now, this is an interesting spot. You got Fashanu. You got Fuaga. You got Fatano. Great alignment. Saints are definitely taking a lineman in the spot. Wagade's still available. He did not give up a sack at all last year. If I'm the Saints, Wagin and Fashanu, I'm going Fashanu. Fashanu's my guy in this draft. I'm going Fashanu here. I think they stick here and take. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that last name. The tackle from Penn State, Fashanu. The Indianapolis Colts, here on the board, you got Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo, Cooper DeJean from Iowa, Kerryon Arnold from Alabama, Brock Bowers is off the board of Brian Thomas from LSU, wide receiver. I'm actually going to double check something. So that's in Ohio, which is close to Indiana. Okay, so Quinyon Mitchell's close to Indianapolis. Cooper DeJean's close to Indianapolis as well. Not taking that into account, really. Terron Arnold's there. I think the Colts are Quinyon Mitchell team in this spot. So with the 15th pick, the Indianapolis Colts select defensive back, cornerback, actually, from Toledo, Quinyon Mitchell. You got Fuaga still here. You got Fatanu. Latu's off the board. You got Verse. You got Byron Murphy. You got Jackson Powers. With Latu off the board, I think this is a Fuaga spot. I think the Seattle Seahawks go get Taliese Fuaga from Oregon State. The Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. You got Terrion Arnold, Cooper DeJean, part of the rumored teams for them. Jared Verse from Florida State. Out of the three options there, I think Terrion Arnold from Alabama just seems like such a Jaguars pick. He's my favorite corner in this draft. He's my top ranked corner in this draft. If you're looking at Luke's list that's going across the bottom, I think the Jaguars stick here and take Terrion Arnold if he's still on the board, if there's not a trade up. At 18, you got Byron Murphy, Jerzon Newton, Troy Fatanu. Troy Fatanu here for the Bengals. I think they'd jump all over that. They'd be like, holy shit, let's go get Fatanu. You got J.C. Latham. You had Amarius Mims. You got Brock Bowers. Or Brock Bowers is off the board. Byron Murphy, I was seeing to them a lot. Jerzon Newton, I could see to them. I think the Bengals in this spot, I think the Bengals go best available. They need to protect Burrow. Burrow got hurt again last year. You need to protect Burrow. To me, no, it's not best available, but he's second best available on my board at this point. Out of the options for them, Troy Fatanu, Washington, to the Cincinnati Bengals. Go protect Joe Burrow. With the 19th pick in the NFL draft, the Rams have a few options here. I think they're going to go for replacement here. I think they're going to try to replace Aaron Donald here. You got Byron Murphy, Jerzon Newton. Out of the two for me, I'm a Jerzon Newton guy. I'm a Johnny Newton guy. I think the higher ranked prospect, though, I think the Rams go here and then they take Byron Murphy from Texas in hopes they find their Aaron Donald replacement. The Steelers, you got Amarius Mims, Cooper DeJean, J.C. Latham, Jackson Powers, Graham Barton. Amarius Mims is just such a Steelers pick. Amarius Mims from Georgia. With the 20th pick, and Amarius Mims has amazing potential. Doesn't have a great grade from PFF this year, but Amarius, he has good potential. With the 20th pick in the NFL draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Amarius Mims, tackle, Georgia. With the 21st pick in the NFL draft, the Dolphins have Jerzon Newton available, J.C. Latham, Graham Barton. Those are the three options. J.C. Latham has been the pick throughout the entire process for the Dolphins here. I don't think they stray here with Jerzon Newton on the board. I think they go J.C. Latham at 21. A lot of people, a lot of former NFL players love J.C. Latham, Brian Baldinger, Ross Tucker, John Ritchie. They're big J.C. Latham guys, but uh, I have him drop into this spot, and the Dolphins jump all over that. They go get protection for Tua. Now, if I'm the Eagles, would I want in this spot? Like, if I'm Howie, I'm jumping all over John Newton, but I'm not picking with my heart in this spot. I'm not going to pick with my heart. I'm going to do the responsible thing in terms of doing a mock draft. I think you jump all over John Newton, by the way. Like, I think he's your next Fletcher Cox. You can never have enough defensive linemen. But at this spot, you got Cooper DeJean available, Nate Wiggins, Kool-Aid McKinstry. They brought in Kool-Aid for a visit. I don't think they did not bring in Wiggins, I don't think. I think they brought in Cooper DeJean. The Philadelphia Eagles, at the 22nd pick in the NFL draft, stay picking from the SEC and take cornerback Kool-Aid McKinstry. John Newton's still on the board here for the Vikings. The Vikings already took J.J. McCarthy. You got Nate Wiggins available. You got Cooper DeJean. You got Jackson Powers. At this spot with John Newton available still, I think the Vikings run this up to the podium. I think they run this up to the podium. Actually, the Vikings have been needing cornerback help for the last few years. I think they run this Nate Wiggins pick up to the podium. I think they jump all over Nate Wiggins, one of the best cover corners in the draft. They jump all over this Nate Wiggins pick. They'll be jumping for joy for whoever they get in that spot. The Cowboys here, you have a few options. You have Jackson Powers, Graham Barton, Adonai Mitchell, wide receiver from Texas, John Newton. Out of all those guys, I think the Cowboys go get interior line. I think they get their interior lineman. He's been heavily rumored throughout this draft process to the Cowboys. Jackson Powers Johnson from Oregon. The Cowboys get a center. Get their next Travis Frederick. Now the Packers, they need some secondary help. They brought in Xavier McKinney at safety. They need some corner help. Cooper DeJean is still there. You got Graham Barton still there. John Newton. I think the Packers in this spot will go Cooper DeJean to bolster their secondary. At this spot, you got Jared Verse still available. Kool-Aid. You got, Kool-Aid's gone. You got Jared Verse or Chop Robinson. They're likely taking an edge rusher here. Jerzon Newton dropping this far. I'd be praying that the Eagles trade back up for him. But to this spot, I think the Buccaneers run this pick to the podium. Jared Verse dropping this far, I think, is a crime. He's one of my top 5 favorite prospects in this entire draft. He's not top 5 on the big board because big board, I'm being like, if I'm a GM, how my board would be listed. But in terms of just players I like watching, Jared Verse is top 5 for me in this draft. I think the Bucs would run to the podium for Jared Verse. The Cardinals here, I think this pick's almost right to self. You almost just run this up to the podium right here. You already took Marvin Harrison. Kool-Aid's off the board. Jackson's off the board. Nate Wiggins is off the board. I think they'd go and take John Newton right here from Illinois. The slide for John Newton stops, and he goes at 27th to the Arizona Cardinals. Now, this is an interesting pick. Bills are definitely taking a receiver. Newton off the board. You got Donnie Mitchell. You got Brian Thomas Jr., Troy Franklin, Ladd McConkey. Out of all those guys, I think Donnie Mitchell has the most potential. He has like, when you watch him in clips, he looks the most like an NFL receiver. Donnie Mitchell to the Buffalo Bills. They go get an X wide receiver for Josh Allen. At the 29th pick, the Detroit Lions come up. It's in Detroit. The crowd's going to be cheering. The city of Detroit's going to be cheering. You got Chop Robinson or Zach Frazier. Corners are off the board in this spot. I think they go here and they get a guy that I think Dan Campbell will love at a Penn State defensive end, Chop Robinson. At the 30th pick in the draft, they could go wide receiver here. They need some wide receiver help. They could go tackle or corner. I could see them going any of those ways. Troy Franklin's a burner out of Oregon. Ladd McConkey, one of my favorite players in this draft. Jordan Morgan, a good tackle. Not a huge fan of Jordan. I'm not a huge fan of Jordan Morgan, but I know other people are. At this spot, though, with the 30th pick in the NFL draft, I think the Baltimore Ravens go with a tackle out of Oklahoma, Tyler Guyton. The Ravens seem to have a good relationship with Oklahoma, seem to take some of their top guys at Oklahoma. They took Marquise Brown a few years ago. You took Orlando Brown. They seem to have a sweet spot, or I don't know the wording for it. But they seem to have a want for Oklahoma guys, especially linemen. I think the Ravens go get Tyler Guyton. In the Super Bowl, one of the Niners' biggest worries or biggest problems was that O-line. That O-line struggled mightily in the Super Bowl for the Niners. I think they go boost that up here. You got Graham Barton or Jordan Morgan. They've been heavily tied here in this process to go get Jordan Morgan, who would be their replacement for Trent Williams, especially when he goes out, and they just need O-line help after their O-line got obliterated late in the Super Bowl. Jordan Morgan out of Arizona moves a state or two over to the Golden State, to San Fran. Jordan Morgan to the Niners. Now, for the Chiefs to round out the NFL draft, who do we think the Chiefs are going to take? Who do we think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to take? Is it really any question that they're taking a receiver? Rashee Rice has some problems going on right now. And sorry, bear with me. My nose keeps running. I'm sorry about that. But Rashee Rice has some legal issues going on right now. Who knows if he's going to play next year? You got Ladd McConkey, one of my favorite guys in this draft. Troy Franklin, a burner. Adonai Mitchell's off the board. And then you got Xavier Worthy. Xavier Worthy's a burner. Deshaun Jackson type of player. I think the Chiefs go get Xavier Worthy to pair with Patrick Mahomes. He broke the 40-yard dash record. I think they jump all over that. They go get a burner. Just to stretch the field for Mahomes, and Mahomes just throw it up to him. Throw it deep for him and find him. I think the Kansas City Chiefs go draft Xavier Worthy. They try to get their next Tyreek Hill. I think it's going to be an interesting draft. We know this isn't going to be accurate as there's going to be trades that go down. But to recap, Caleb Williams to Chicago, Jaden Daniels to Washington, Drake May to New England, Marvin Harrison to the Cardinals, Neighbors to the Chargers, Odunze to the Giants, Alt to the Titans, Dallas Turner to the Falcons, Laitai Latu to the Bears, Bowers to the Jets, J.J. McCarthy to the Vikings, Bo Nix to the Broncos, Penix to the Raiders, Fashanu to the Saints, Quinyon Mitchell to the Colts, Fuaga to the Seahawks, Terrion Arnold to the Jags, Fatanu to the Bengals, Byron Murphy to the Rams, Amarius Mims to the Steelers, J.C. Latham to the Dolphins, Kool-Aid McKinstry to the Eagles, Nate Wiggins to the Vikings, Jackson Powers to the Cowboys, Cooper DeJean to the Packers, Jared Verse to the Buccaneers, Jerzon Newton to the Cardinals, Adonai Mitchell to the Bills, Chop Robinson to the Lions, Tyler Guyton to the Ravens, Jordan Morgan to the Niners, and last but certainly not least, the Chiefs got a burner in Xavier Worthy. It's going to be interesting how the draft plays out. I hope to at least sit on a few of these. I had a good mock draft a few years ago. I hope it compares to that. Sorry, this is a quicker episode. That'll do it, though, for this episode of Uncaged Sports Talk. Tune in next week after the draft. Hopefully, we'll have some time to go over this. Go over my big board, or go over how my picks went, see how many I got correct. hopefully this holds the test of time too, of being that I got a lot of picks correct in terms of where they were ranked, if I had them ranked high or not. That'll do it though for this episode of Uncaged Sports Talk. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe on all of our platforms. It is greatly appreciated. Tune in next week.